data that I found says that catalogs, direct mail catalogs, can be the most cost-effective way of getting a lead or getting an order. $47.61 per order or lead compared to $53 for email and $99 for paid search. So, direct mail, I think many people assume because you're actually physically creating something and putting it out the door that it has to be more expensive than some of these other online options. But the reality is because it does get noticed so much more and responded to so effectively that the actual price of getting a response or getting a new customer can actually be very, very competitive. People like it. People like direct mail. 60% of people prefer direct mail to other media and say that they have an emotional connection to it. Right? And I can totally relate to this. I love to get the mail in my mailbox every day. When I come home from work, I enjoy the process of going there and seeing what's there. Versus my email inbox to me is just a flood of never-ending email, and it's a source of stress for me, right? And I don't know if this goes back to childhood and around Christmas time, expecting gifts in the mail and waiting to see what packages get delivered, but there is this emotional connection to mail that a lot of people will refer to when surveyed. All this makes it easier to stand out from the competition. Okay, again, so many marketers are going digital. It's so easy to flood your inbox with email. It's so easy to put up banner ads all over websites, and you see hundreds and hundreds of them every day. That you just tune those out to a large extent. Um, Direct mail is very hard to tune out, right? It doesn't get lost in that flood of email. It signals a sense of professionalism, right? That you're willing to invest in actually sending something out in the mail. And direct mail sticks around. People will keep interesting direct mail pieces sitting on their desk, sitting on their kitchen counter, right, for days and sometimes even weeks. That's not something that happens with email or banner ads, right? So it is definitely a form of marketing that allows you to really stand out from the competition just because you're kind of going a little bit against the grain of what most people are doing, which makes it, something like I said, you can really stand out from the competition. Right, so let's talk about 11 best practices for using direct mail at your business. First is to create a marketing calendar. Okay, the best campaigns in direct mail are planned well in advance, right? This gives you an opportunity to really think through strategically the best targets for your campaign, the best time for your campaign and formats, and it allows you to tie your campaigns and your promotions to seasons and events, right? That make that piece of mail feel very timely. So, going into summer is obviously a great time for a lot of the catalog mailers that are selling clothing, right? To send out catalogs to a whole, to millions and millions of people as those seasons change to promote the latest line of clothing for that next season, right? So as seasons change, they're able to create timely promotions and get huge boosts in sales for certain products. Well, you can do the same thing at your business, whether you're selling products or services or you've got a restaurant that you're trying to get people into. Anytime that you can tie your promotion to some sort of current event or season makes it feel more timely and is proven to drive up response. And over time, what you'll find for your particular business is that there are best times of the year to mail. Okay, there are times of the year where you will get the most response, right? If you're selling products that people buy as gifts, then obviously there are certain times of the year, going into the holidays, where a retailer will do the majority of their business in the year just in a 30 or 45-day period. So every business tends to have this, some sort of seasonality that makes for a best time of year to mail. So by having a calendar and being really thoughtful about planning your calendar and tracking your calendar, you'll find those best times and best ways to really optimize your campaigns. Number two is to get a good list. I think that the list is probably the single most important factor in a successful direct mail campaign. So the ideal way to get a list is to build your own list over time. Okay, and what I mean by that is, by the customers that are coming in and out of your door, by people that have been referred to you, people that you meet when you're out doing your selling, depending on the kind of business you're in. These are the best people to put onto your list. Okay, these are people that have some sort of relationship with you already. They've bought from you maybe already in the past, or at least expressed some real interest, or a friend that was very satisfied with your products or services referred them. There's this relationship that's created that makes them the best and easiest target for your direct mail. So every business should be building and nurturing that list over time. But oftentimes, you don't want to wait for building your list, or you want to supplement that list with a much bigger, audience. And you can go out and buy lists, right, to use in your direct mail campaigns. And that's where I suggest, as I mentioned earlier, working with a professional list broker. These are people that know how to access the best audience and the best list for your target market. They can help you negotiate the best prices and things like that to make sure that you're getting the best list to mail to. And then finally, when it comes to trying some of these new lists, what's really important is that you don't just put all your eggs in one basket and blow your budget on the first attempt at mailing a list. What you want to do is you want to take small segments of that list, of a number of lists actually, right? Get 3 different lists that you think potentially could all be good and good responsive lists for your direct mail campaign, and test small segments of each of them. And what you'll typically find is that one of them will outperform the others by a pretty good margin. And then that's where you want to invest in, right? Then you'll scale up on that list to bigger and bigger numbers over time. All right, best practice number 3 is to split test multiple formats, copy, offers, and images at all times. Okay, every single time you send a piece of mail out the door is an opportunity to split test. And what I mean by split test, if you're not familiar with that term, is just that you want to test. Let's say I'm sending out to 100 people. I would take 50 and I would send, one format or one offer or using a particular image on my direct mail piece. And on the other 50, I would change that one variable. So let's just say I change the picture. And on, one postcard I have a smiling woman, and on the other one I have a baby. Okay. What you'll find is that one of those will outperform the other by a good margin. And now you have what you call a control piece. You have your best piece that you can say, okay, so far with all of the testing and all the mail I've done, this one works best. But on the next mailing, you're going to test again. You're always testing. What this does is this creates constant improvement. And so when people tell me that they tried direct mail and it didn't work, I often find out they weren't doing any testing. They didn't create a budget that allowed them to do some testing to work their way into a good control piece that will be successful for them over time. So you should always test something in your direct mail pieces to make sure that you're constantly improving. Best practice number 4 is to personalize your direct mail. Again, we talked about earlier, you can make direct mail very personal, and there's a lot of ways to do it. Here are just a few. A PURL, P-U-R-L, that stands for personalized URL. So a URL is just the address of a website, right? So google.com is a URL. Well, with direct mail, you can use PURLs to create a URL address on the web that includes the person's name that you are mailing to. Okay, so let's say you're mailing to Jim Smith. You could have somebody that receives a postcard that says go to website.com/Jim Smith to get an offer we've created just for you. And again, that's proven there's a curiosity factor and a personalized feeling there that using these PURLs definitely gets an improvement in response. Another great strategy that works very, very well is handwritten envelopes. Okay, handwritten envelopes look like they were sent by someone, that it's a personal piece of mail. And people don't throw away personal pieces of mail without opening them up and checking out what they are. So the cool thing that you may not know about is you can actually get handwritten envelopes done for you in scale. So there are all kinds of service providers out there that will outsource having somebody do the handwriting on an envelope for you. And there are also tools, machines, software, things like that that will actually create the handwritten envelope for you, or the look of a handwritten envelope, even though it wasn't actually handwritten. So you can do this in scale. You don't have to sit down and actually handwrite everything to make this happen. Putting live stamps on the mail piece instead of just the little barcode that you can get at the postal service when you mail in bulk. So putting live stamps on there, again, it feels personal. It feels like somebody sent you a personal piece of mail, and that has shown to improve open rates and response rates. And then variable printing. Variable printing is really cool technology that has evolved a ton over the last 10 years and continues to really evolve at a fast pace, where, again, you can put details about the person that you're mailing to throughout the letter that you're sending. So let's just say that you have a letter that you want to send out to 1,000 people, but you would like to use the person's name throughout that letter. Well, you can actually use this variable printing to insert the person's name and address and things like that throughout the letter. So again, it feels very, very personalized. So these are just a number of strategies here. There's actually several more, but these are very effective ones that you should try. All right, best practice number 5 is be creative. Okay, I showed you some really interesting creative concepts earlier, and that can make all the difference in a campaign, right? And you can have a lot of fun with this. But it's important to understand that the number one objective in your direct mail campaign is to actually get the mail opened, right? So everybody knows the experience of where you go to your mailbox, you get a big pile of mail, you walk into the kitchen, and that's usually where you have a trash can, right? And you stand over the trash can, and you do this immediate sorting of mail, right? You've got your A pile mail, which is mail that looks like it came from a good friend or family member, or a bill that you have to pay or whatever, right? And that's your A pile mail. The B pile mail is stuff that you're not so sure, you're at least a little bit curious about. And then the C pile mail is the stuff that you just rip up and throw away because you're convinced it's junk mail, right? You never even open it. Well, that's all the mail that was truly wasted, right? Your objective is to never have somebody just rip up your mail and throw it away. It should always be creative enough, interesting enough, and arouse enough curiosity in the recipient that they are always going to at least open it and check it out. And that's why one of the best ways to do this is what we call lumpy mail. So lumpy mail is just like the concepts that I showed you earlier, sending somebody a box with a balloon in it, or sending something that's obviously got some physical object other than the letter inside of the envelope. Creative stuff like that, people don't throw those away. If you get a box, you don't just throw away a box, right? You always open it up to see what's in it. If you got an envelope that had something, physical in it that was not just a letter, that arouses a lot of curiosity in people, and the open rate on something like that goes way up. So that's your objective, is to be creative, stand out from the crowd, so that everybody at least opens your mail and gives it a shot. Okay? Let's see here. Number 6 is to follow the rules of good marketing copy. Okay? If you've never written good marketing copy, it can seem a little foreign at first. And what happens is that most people, when they're creating their copy for the first time, what they tend to do is water it down and make it weak because they're not used to that style of writing. But good marketing